Welcome to KPMG in India Tech Talks, a series of conversation into the world of emerging technologies. As Arthur C. Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. But in today's world, magic is becoming reality. Thanks to technologies like artificial intelligence, it does appear that our world has become magical and things are happening the way we had never imagined. I'm Akhilesh Tuteja, a partner with KPMG in India, and in every episode, I'll invite an industry expert and friend who will demystify the power of technology to all of us. From advancements in AI to the revolutionary power of quantum computing, we will cover it all here. We will discuss the opportunities and also challenges that these emerging technologies present, and we'll also look at some of those societal consequences. Whether you're a technology expert or just a curious mind, I'm sure you will find something of interest here. In today's episode, we will cover AI, a technology that is projected to change everything. From self-driving car to personalized medicine, AI is changing everything which we do. And yet, a number of questions remain unanswered. Our topic for today is AI promises or hype. To uncover whether AI is delivering its promise really or is just a hype, let me invite a special friend and guest, Bikram Singh Bedi. Bikram is the Vice President and Country Managing Director for Google Cloud. He's responsible for all its operations and go-to-market in India. Bikram has a notable career of changing the way we think and use technology. Apart from being at Google for the last 3 years, Bikram has worked with Grofers in the past and has also been credited for building the AWS's business here in India and running it for 6 years. With that, it is my absolute pleasure to invite a dear friend and a special guest, Bikram Singh Bedi, to talk to us about how AI will change our life and how this technology really works. Welcome, Bikram. I couldn't have been happier to host you today. I'm so glad that we chose you to talk to us about AI and its promise. What do you think about this topic?
Look, firstly, thank you for having us here, Akhilesh. As you're probably aware, AI is not new to Google. We have been at the forefront of innovation as far as AI is concerned. And every customer that we talk to, that we're engaged with, is telling us about the promise of AI, is telling us about the disruptions they're seeing with this, and their ability to create new businesses, new revenue streams, new customer segments, etc. So, topic which is very close to our heart. And thank you once again for calling us in.
Thank you, Bikram. That's so incredible. When I talk about somebody like you to others, I think I put you in what I call the front seat of that roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. So you've been at the front seat of AI and its evolution in India. Tell us, what are you seeing in terms of the promise of AI here?
I just feel that the last 15 odd months has just been incredible. Frankly, I think AI as a technology is going to have more momentum and more impact than even some of the large disruptions we've seen in the past, like mobile, web. Right? We're seeing right now impact across different segments, whether it's organizations, where organizations are looking at employee productivity, customer experience, driving innovations, whether it's society, where you are looking at healthcare, impact across citizen services, or it's individuals, where you're looking at better learning capability, better adaptability and better implementation. We're seeing an impact across the board. If you just look at this technology from 15 months ago, where it was about, interfacing with a chat engine and, talking to that engine, to predictability through AI, to now we're talking about agents, where agents are these intelligent beings that basically help you, take action and make important decisions or choice decisions. For example, helping a shopper find the right dress. For example, helping, when a nurse comes into an hospital and has to do a handover of a patient, helping you do that more efficiently. And so many more examples that we are starting to see where AI is really delivering value to businesses. And across the board, when you look at what we've seen in the last 12 months and what we are seeing ahead of us, I think the promise is real.
Fantastic. I love the way you said last 15 months, because many of us have been looking at for a long period of time, but the changes in last 15 months are truly incredible. You talked about several examples of action agents coming and helping our lives in many ways. Can you also tell us about what are some of these problems Google is solving in real world?
When you look at AI as a technology, we've been using this technology, like I said before, also at Google for a number of years. I mean, think about Gmail. Think about, the help me write piece. We see like 70-75% adoption on that. Think about our maps products, where you can find fuel efficient routes. If you look at the business side, which is cloud, which really interacts with the businesses, we're talking about call center AI as a product. We're talking about Doc AI as a product, which has been in use for a number of years. What we're starting to see is now that, the adoption is way wider. And in fact, Google Cloud is the only platform out there which is truly presenting an open stack. And let me just clarify this, and why this is important. See, when you look at a stack that is used for AI, there's going to be different layers of it. The first layer is really about hardware. So as far as Google is concerned, we have a hardware layer which consists of our own hardware, which is TPUs, and it also has GPUs, right? Customers are again free to choose. So there is openness there. On top of that, you have the software layer. For us, that's the Vertex platform. Now, as far as the Vertex platform is concerned, what it allows you to do, it gives you all the features that you need in a platform if you're going to adopt, AI. For example, it's going to need to give you security, prompt engineering, billing services, grounding, data privacy, etc., etc. So you need a kind of a platform within which as a business you're going to adopt the whole AI technologies. And then beyond that, you have a large model farm or model garden where you're getting different kinds of models for you to use. So you're talking about Google models, which are Gemini-led and Palm, etc. And then you're talking about open source models. And then you're talking about third-party models like Anthropic, Llama, etc. So open at the hardware layer, open at the software layer. And then over and above that, we're looking at first-party services coming from Google, like Google Workspace, Doc AI, call center AI, etc., translation services, etc. Now, this is a fully integrated stack, which is coming from Google, and it is an open stack, right? If you look at the competitive stacks in the market, most of them are missing a few parts of the layer. One of our competitors doesn't have a hardware stack, so you're going and buying hardware, marking it up and selling it. Doesn't have a software stack, going and buying software, marking it up and selling it, and then putting first-party services on top. Another competitor doesn't have a hardware stack, has a very rudimentary software stack, no first-party services. Reason I call this out is that as we are seeing workloads get into production, as we are seeing workloads go into scale, the fact that it's all end-to-end Google is seeing us pull away from a price performance perspective. And that is the critical area which matters when you start looking at real world deployments at scale, because price performance is going to be important, right? A very good example is Federal Bank. Now we are working with Federal Bank here in India, where they've launched this, virtual assistant called Freddy. Freddy is the local, neighborhood boy who's going to be answering your queries. And the fact that those queries are being answered with 98% plus accuracy is actually ensured, it has ensured that the virtual queries have doubled to about 1.4 million a year now. And the cost, the customer care cost has halved by 50%. Now this is a real world impact, right? Another good example I can think of is HDFC Ergo. Now at Ergo, they have essentially taken this journey of AI with us. They've built out a center of excellence, and one of the key impacts we saw was they have 300 plus backend services. Now they've integrated those into 2 super apps. And once you built the super app, what you need is help to be able to download it to people. So they are using AI or the Vertex framework with Google, where what they're doing is they're giving context-based nudges to people to download the apps. In the last 6 months, we've seen 4.5 million downloads. Again, real world impact, right? So we're seeing it across the board.
I think I've learned something very interesting today. I always knew that Google has an integrated story, but the way you packed it, like the hardware, open source, yet available, the software layer, and then the model farms on top, including the first party and others. I think that's the power of this Tech Talk series, is to how do we look at the technology, which sometimes may look like a black box, but you really unpacked for us. I think the example which you talked about, the Federal Bank example or the HDFC example, are a true impact example, where we are seeing clients adopt these technologies. And that's why I get a lot of CEOs talking these days saying, when can I get the AI which actually delivers the business outcomes? So I'm sure they should be coming calling to you.
Sure, absolutely.
We talked about a lot about the technology. I also keep hearing that there's a lot of hype about AI. So what do you think in today's time, how much of this is reality? You gave two really good example, but there's a lot of hype. Help us demystify that too.
Look, I personally believe that we've gone past the hype cycle. I think it's a real world implementation. I spoke about a couple of examples, but almost every customer we're talking to is talking to us about how can they create a better customer experience for their customers. How can they drive better innovation? How can they drive better employee productivity? And so on and so forth. I spoke about, like I said, two examples, but think about, some of the other Indian organizations who are using this with us. Airtel in the telecom space, Aditya Birla Group, Mahindra and Mahindra Group along with TechM, Apollo Hospitals, Indigo Airlines. Apollo Hospitals, in fact, very interesting example. I spoke earlier on about societal impact and healthcare, and this is a classic example of how this can have a very large-scale impact. They've built, along with us, what is called as a clinical intelligence engine. Now, a clinical intelligence engine is essentially, it has been trained on top of a model that we launched called MedPalm. Right? MedPalm has been trained with over 1.3 trillion data sets from the medical space. Right? So that model is clearly focused on the medical space, and they've built CIE on top of that. Now, what CIE is doing is that for a doctor during consultation, it's going to work with the doctors to advise them on the next best steps. Now, this is Apollo. But think of this as an impact where widespread in a country like India, you could do this at the taluka level, right? Where specialists don't exist. So really wide scale impact. We've recently launched, 2 million tokens for the Gemini extended context window. Significant impact. Think about it. Think if you're an audio company, right? You've done a podcast, couple of hours. What if you could put all of it into Gemini, upload it, and Gemini would look through it, look at the inconsistencies, the errors, format it well, and have an output ready to roll. The number of hours that you're saving for audio engineers. You're a video company. You've got, you're one of these content companies, which is right now, OTT player. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of content. Now think about, number one, how do you moderate the content? To ensure that if I'm a child, I shouldn't have visibility to certain content. Think about the fact that how do you drive better personalizations and recommendations? Now, in those thousands of content, let's say I've watched the movie Diwar, right? And I've seen the, they would obviously observe that I've seen Amitabh Bachchan, Salim Javed, iconic scenes. Let's say I repeated the scene where he says, "Mere paas maa hai." And now what if you had personalization and recommendation out of Trishul, out of Dawn, out of, all those iconic scenes. If you're a sports fan, all the best goals of Maradona or Ronaldo or somebody else. Your ability to customize and personalize this is huge. Think about a legal company. You have reams and reams of contracts. Your ability to pull out the right relevant clauses to make sure that, you're able to look at them correctly. or if you're a healthcare company, to look at handwritten prescriptions where you're able to extract patient care data. All of these are all real-world examples that are happening today.
Several great examples, Bikram, but if there's one thing which kind of caught my attention is that you and I seem to be Amitabh Bachchan fans.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, the example Diwar, Trishul, I think they just reminded me of some fascinating movies, and I'm sure if technology could just get me those bites when I need them. I think
exactly. Imagine if you just had a 1-hour clip which gave you all the famous scenes out of Zanjeer and Dawn and Kabhi Kabhi and
like the
whatever.
Vitamin diet.
Exactly.
But I think one of the things which again caught my attention is AI is not just solving what one would call the documentation type of problem. It's like real action which you talked about. So the next best step, not just the next best step which a clerk kind of person could take, but an expert doctor. I think those are really great examples. Also, when you talk about reducing the cost but increasing the volume, that also gives me a great support that AI is allowing us to do so many things which we wanted to do but couldn't do because of either lack of resources or not having the right context. One of the things which AI gets challenged quite a lot these days, and I'm sure it's no exception in your world too, is there's a criticism that there are a lot of ethical challenges. There are issues around bias and transparency. I'm sure you guys deal with that at real different levels. So why don't you tell us more about it?
The thing about technology is that technology is a reflection of what's happening in society, right? And if not implemented well, some of the imperfections, some of the biases that exist in society could actually creep into technology and amplify it because of the scale of usage, right? So at Google, there is deep-rooted work that goes into ensuring that when we build this technology, number one, it's built for everyone. It respects everyone, right? It provides scientific excellence. And more importantly, it's safe, right? So we've published a set of AI principles, and then we've gone and put recommendations around how to implement the technology around them, right? We conduct quarterly reviews on this. We've done over, we look at the principles and we look at the implementation methodologies. We've already done over 100 reviews on these. If you look at, white papers we publish, we deal with thousands of governments and citizen bodies across the world. We are interacting with them to make sure that, they are understanding this correctly and we are capturing their feedback into our products. And last but not least, here in India, last year we've given a grant of over $1 million to IIT Madras, where we are helping them set up a center for responsible AI, where it's not just the researchers, it's all the stakeholders in the ecosystem. The researchers, the academicians, the policy, the policy governance owners, etc., bringing the whole ecosystem together to get AI right for India in the Indian context. So clearly something that we are focused on as Google, and our view of the world is that, you have to adopt AI boldly but responsibly.
That's very, very empowering for me to hear, because you said that you build technology for everyone, but with respect. I think that's something which is, at least for me, is the underlying mantra for what all of us have the obligation. But equally important, you mentioned that technology tends to reflect our society. Yes. And if there are imperfections, we will not only just imbibe them, but we'll also actually multiply them. So therefore, I think the problem needs to be solved on all sides. True. But really, really incredible the way you kind of summarize it for us. We talked about a lot of things which have accelerated in the last 15 months, and I can really see the world changing much faster. One of the things which I always wonder is the toughest job in this world is not yours and mine, but is those who used to write sci-fi novels. Because it's very hard to say what's going to happen which hasn't happened today. So how do you see the world of AI in next 5 to 10 years?
I don't think I can see beyond 6 months. The way things have gone, even 6 months is... No, but on a serious note, I think what is going to definitely happen is change, right? Already today we see so much of disruption and so much of change that is coming with this technology. If I was to take a stab at this, I'd probably say, AI is actually going to become invisible. It's going to be there in everything we do. It's going to be there in every kind of task we have, interaction we have, whether it's human to human, whether it's human to machine, human to web, etc. It's going to be there everywhere. And just the basic workplace is going to change. The BAU stuff that we do today in our lives is going to go away. And our focus can then be on really building value, driving impact, and taking care of our customers.
AI will become invisible. I think that's a big takeaway. So a lot of people say AI is new electricity. I think you're saying AI is the oxygen.
Absolutely.
It'll be there, but we won't see it, and hopefully
you won't notice it.
Yeah.
You won't notice it.
Absolutely.
It'll be in everything you do.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be pervasive. Thank you. I kind of agree with what you say, and the way you said it is that we won't be able to separate it, and we won't be able to say it differently. Bikram, you've had a wonderful career. You've built businesses, you've also helped businesses use technology and delivered great outcomes. But I'm sure when you reflect back on your life, if I were to ask you, if you had an opportunity to sit in a time machine and go back and give an advice to a 20-year-old Bikram, what would that be?
It would be that whatever field you're in, learn this technology really quickly. Because if you don't, you're going to get left behind.
So whatever field you're in, learn it, because if you don't learn it, you will be left behind. So however fast...
Learn it and adapt it. Use it. Don't
deny it.
Don't deny it. Don't walk away from it.
Don't dismiss it.
No.
Yeah. So I think that's a great ending advice I have from Bikram for all of us is whatever space you are in, you have to be good at it. You don't have to just build it, but use it. And I think what you talked about is use it responsibly. That was a truly insightful session. I couldn't have asked for more. I think the way you unpacked a lot of difficult concepts for all of us to understand, the way you explained to us the power of technology, and I think you kind of referred to say that it's just the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot more here to come and see. And your passion about how we will build a technology which is not only going to be good for us, but will also be responsible. So on that very happy, optimistic and hopeful note, I thank you once again, Bikram, for joining us today and taking your valuable time. I enjoyed it. And till the time I have my next guest, this is Akhilesh Tuteja signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akhilesh. Thank you.
Thank you.